Okay, so we'll get started in a mountain pose today. So settling into comfortable standing stance on your mat. And starting to think about just gently letting go of your morning, letting go of whatever you were doing before you arrived, letting go of whatever you have to do when we finish today, and really just inviting your awareness fully into the moment. And as you do that, start to think about bringing your awareness into your physical self and bringing it all the way down to the soles of your feet. Taking a moment here, just rooting down to the soles of the feet, creating any kind of movement here that feels good to help you tune into that sense of connection. And find that space where you really feel equally connected through all surfaces of both feet. And then imagine pressing a little more firmly down into the soles of the feet. So we're rooting through the feet to press up and start to grow long. So as we stay grounded in the feet, we start to create that length in the spine, spaciousness between the vertebrae. So we have that grounded sense at our feet, but we also have this lightness coming from the crown of the head. So this long neutral spine. We'll invite a little more softness into the shoulders, allowing them to fully relax away from the ears, and allowing the palms to just gently hang down at your sides. And then bringing your gaze a few feet in front of you, or if it feels better, fully closing the eyes. And inviting your awareness into the low belly. Observing what sensations come up for you here in the low belly. Rhythm, movement, sound. And then starting to pay particular attention to the sense of your breath in the low belly, which maybe is very subtle, maybe more intense, but is there movement, is there rhythm that comes with your breath? And just allowing yourself to be present with that sensation for a moment. And then drawing your awareness up to the chest, so the space just behind the sternum or heart center. And tune into the sensations there for a moment. Is there movement? Other sensation? Is there a rhythm? And then thinking about here, checking in with the state of your emotions. Whatever comes up for you here is just fine. Thinking about observing the state of your emotions. And then drawing your awareness all the way up to the space between the brows. In yoga, you might hear this called third eye. And as you observe that space between the brows, also take a moment to check in with your thoughts, with your mental self. Again, anything that comes up for you here, just fine. Observation without judgment, just noticing. And then bringing your awareness specifically to the sensation of your breath. Wherever your mind's eye lands, just fine. And then beginning that gentle process of expanding and deepening your breath cycle. So with each inhale, full expansion, feeling the lungs completely inflated, the ribs gently draw out in all directions. Slow, complete exhale, feeling yourself empty all the air from the lungs. We'll take a few more breaths here. Deep, expansive in. Slow, complete out. If you want to start to bring in your ujjayi, warrior breath, maybe starting to create that constriction at the back of the throat, creating that sound with lips closed each time you exhale. Taking one more full inhale here. Slow exhale. And then floating your eyes fully open. And we're going to rotate the palms out toward the sides of your room. For some of us, they won't be able to get quite all the way there, but we're turning in that direction. For some of us, they'll be able to turn all the way out, so palms are facing the same direction as the outer part of your thighs. Wait for your next in-breath. We're going to reach those arms all the way up overhead till the palms are facing one another, about shoulder distance between the palms. And then rotate the palms out again at the top. Exhale the hands all the way down, palms facing the thighs. Rotate out at the bottom. Inhale, lift. Rotate out at the top, exhale, lower. We'll take a few more here. So let go of the rhythm of my breath and move at your own pace. Next time those hands come overhead, we'll pause with the hands overhead. And then take your right fingertips around your left wrist. Inhale to lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the arms. Exhale to draw those arms over to the right side, stretching through left side body. Next, inhale, we'll lift through center, switch the hands. Use your exhale to find your side bend to the second side. We'll do one more each side. Use your next inhale to lift, release the wrists, switch hands, and exhale, side bend. Inhale, lift, center, release, switch, exhale, side bend, lateral flexion. Inhale, lift center, release the wrist. Exhale, we're going to dive over to a forward fold. Little bend into the knees, sweeping the arms wide, hinging from the hips and then softening through the spine as you melt down over your thighs, letting your head, neck, shoulders dangle down toward the earth. Fingertips reaching toward the floor in front of the toes, or if it's in reach, fingertips or palms rest on the floor. And then press into your feet, lengthen the back of the legs. Find a long neutral spine, create an upside down L shape with the body. Slide your hands to your shins or your thighs. Half forward fold. And then float your hands up alongside your hips, palms facing the earth. Lift those arms a little higher from the spine. And then check in with the back line of the leg here. If you already found a good stretch, we'll stay here. If you want a little more, keeping the spine long and neutral, see if you could bring your heart just a little closer to your mat. One more deep inhale, exhale, soften everything back over to a full forward fold. And then we'll bring the fingertips to the opposite elbows. Sway the upper body side to side. And then take your upper body and your arms over to the right. Stretch those arms just outside the right edge of your mat. Bring yourself back through center. Stretch those arms and torso over to the left, reaching just to the outside edge of the mat. Bring yourself back to center. Release the arms, deeply bend the knees. Left fingertips reaching for a block or floor just in front of the toes, or if you feel like you have space, palm to the earth just in front of the gaze. We're going to deeply bend the left knee, twist the heart open to the right, slide your right hand to your hip, or invite those fingers all the way up overhead, stacking the shoulders and gazing past the hand. Take a couple breaths here, really imagining opening the heart up to the right, lifting and opening through that right shoulder. Take another big inhale here. Use your exhale to move back through your forward fold and your inhale to find your second side. Planting right fingertips or palm on floor or block, right knee deeply bends, twisting open to the left, slide that hand to the hip or sweep it overhead. Take a couple breaths, opening the heart to the left, drawing that left shoulder up. Take another big inhale here. We'll use the exhale. Move back through your full forward fold. Sweep the fingertips back up to the elbows and slow roll yourself all the way back up to standing. Find a mountain pose, long spine. Release the hands down by the sides. Inhale, sweep the hands overhead. Keep that about a shoulder distance between the palms. Exhale, hinge at the hip, bend the knees, dive over, full forward fold. Inhale, half lift, long knees, long spine, hands to shins or thighs. Exhale, soften, forward fold. Inhale, keep the arms dangling if you like, or fingertips to opposite elbows. Slow roll or ragdoll up. And find your mountain pose at the top. Inhale, sweep the hands high, upward hands pose. Exhale, diving over, full fold. Inhale, half fold. Exhale, soften. Inhale, slow roll, or if you like, take a circle sweep to standing. Pressing into the feet to lift as you bring the arms wide and back overhead. Exhale, back to mountain pose. So we'll do that one more time just with the rhythm of your own breath. No cues from me. Using your next inhale to start, and we'll meet back in mountain pose. Waiting for your next inhale, sweep the hands up, upward hands or tall mountain. Exhale, dive over, forward fold. Maybe dangling through this forward fold through a breath if that feels good, or inhale through a half forward fold if that feels better. And then we'll all meet in full forward fold. Plant your fingertips or your palms on your mat or your blocks just in front of your toes. Ground through your left leg, lift your right heel, slide that leg all the way back your mat. So your left knee is aligned over your left ankle. Lower the right knee, untuck the toe, low lunge or grounded lunge. If you like, stepping hands up through the front knee to take a moment to check in, or sweeping your arms directly overhead, drawing those arms down into the shoulder sockets, pulling the tailbone down toward the earth, gently drawing right hip forward, left thigh back. We're going to try to keep the crown of the head right over the center of the pelvis. And then check in to see if you found a little stretch in the front of the right hip. If you want a little more, scoot your left foot closer to the top of your mat, still keeping the pelvis neutral and square. Let those hips sink a little closer to the earth. And then we're going to add a little heart opener here. So we're going to leave the lower body just as it is. And then we're going to back bend a little bit, draw the elbows back and down, finding your goalpost arms, cactus arms, letting the gaze come high. And then lifting back to neutral spine, reaching the fingertips overhead. Opening through the heart, elbows draw back and down. Inhaling, lift, neutral. Do a couple more. Next time you come back to your lunge, we'll pause. We're going to bring the hands all the way down to frame the front foot. So if you have blocks, you can grab onto your blocks here. You can bring fingertips all the way down onto your mat, or if you feel like you have the space to do so, palms all the way down onto the mat. We're going to keep the left sole of the foot connected to the mat. Try to keep the spine long and neutral as you start to pull your hips back toward your right heel, finding a version of half split or half monkey pose. So letting those hips come back as far as they can, still staying long and lifted and grounded through the sole of the left foot. And we'll pause and find a breath. And then with your next exhale, Allow yourself to come back a little further. Lift that left sole of the foot, draw the toes back toward the shin, slide your hands or fingertips or blocks back a little further, round through the spine and let your head draw down toward your left knee. Finding a full exhale. Use an inhale to start to come forward and lift. Use an exhale to sink back into low lunge or grounded lunge. We're going to find a little rhythm here. We're going to keep the fingertips down. Inhale, start to lift yourself back. Exhale, let the hips come toward the right heel, half split. Inhale, start to lift back through that intermediary position. Exhale, let your hips sink, open the heart a little, but keep the arms low. Inhale, lift. Exhale, pull back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, draw forward. Finishing up the cycle that you're on, landing in your grounded lunge or low lunge, but with the hands down. And then we're going to come back to forward fold at the top of our mat. So if you really lengthened your stance to increase your stretch, you might have to slide your front foot back a little, and then we'll tuck the right toe, lift the knee, slide, scoot, or lift and float that foot all the way forward to meet the left. We're back in our forward fold. Pause in stillness here and circle sweep your way back up to standing, or let your arms dangle or fingertips to opposite elbows and slow roll your way to standing. And finding your standing foundation, find your mountain pose. Inhale, sweeping the hands high. Exhale, diving over, dangling through this forward fold, or add in that half forward fold if you like. Meeting in a full forward fold, planting fingertips or palms, grounding through the sole of the right foot. Bring that left leg all the way back. Right knee is aligned over the right ankle. Lower the left knee, untuck the toe. And again, if you like, bring the hands to the knee for a moment as you check in with your shape, or you can go ahead and send the hands overhead. And then we'll just try to find that neutral pelvis. So tailbone gently drawing down, low ribs pulling in, right side drawing back, left side of the pelvis gently drawing forward, trying to bring that crown of the head right over the center of the hips. Remembering it might be quite different between your two sides. So just notice what's happening at the front of that hip. Adjust for more or less stretch as you like. And then coming into a little heart opening flow. So a little back bend as you draw those elbows out and down. Lifting back to neutral. Your rhythm, your breath. And finishing up the cycle that you're on. Finding your way back to your grounded lunge or low lunge. We'll bring the fingertips down to frame that front foot. So again, just depending on the arm to leg ratio here or what feels comfortable, fingertips can be to the earth, palms can be to the earth, or hands can be on blocks. We're going to glue that right sole of the foot down. We're going to try to stay long and lifted in the spine as we pull the hips back toward the left heel as far as you can go. Right sole of the foot flat and spine long. Take another big inhale as you exhale. Allow yourself to pull back a little further, lift the right toes, soften through the spine, draw the head down toward the right knee. And coming into a nice slow flow, the rhythm of your breath. Use your next inhale to start to lift back. Exhale to let the hips draw down. Open the heart a little. Grounded lunge. Inhale to begin to lift the hips back. Exhale to pull back, half split. Inhale to rise. Exhale to lower. Finishing the cycle that you're on, finding that grounded lunge, but with hands low. And adjust your stance as needed to start to bring yourself back toward forward fold at the top of your mat. From stillness, circle sweep up through upward hands, or take that nice slow roll, ragdoll down. Ragdoll down, ragdoll up. Find your Tadasana. And sweep both the hands overhead with your next inhale. This time we're actually going to let the palms come all the way together and pause. Take a little back bend here as you bring your gaze up past your hands, really stretching through the front body. Take a couple breaths here with each inhale. Imagine you're going to pull the fingertips and pull the crown of the head a little further from your base. Each exhale, either pause or, if it feels right, a little more back bend. And then start to lift yourself back toward neutral spine. We're going to bring those palms all the way down to heart center. Long neutral spine, hands to heart. Interlace your fingers at heart center. Flip the palms so they're facing toward the front of your space. Press those hands away, round through the spine. Let your gaze come down toward your feet. And then with your next inhale, lift those interlaced fingers overhead, keeping the palms reaching toward the ceiling. Find your long neutral spine. Pause here until you can take another full inhale, reaching through the crown of the head and the fingers. Use an exhale to find a side bend right. As you side bend and pause, maybe notice here if this arm position feels any different than our first side stretch with the fingers around the wrist. Next inhale, we're going to lift through center. Exhale takes you to your second side. Next inhale, we're going to lift through center, release the hands, dive all the way over, forward fold. Dangle through this forward fold for a breath, or add in a half forward fold. Meeting in a full forward fold, reverse swan dive up or circle sweep. Find yourself all the way back, mountain pose. And then again, with an inhale, diving the hands up, let the palms meet overhead. Take a little bit of a back bend here. Find a few breaths. Inhaling, create length. Exhale, pause, or a little more stretch if that feels right. Next inhale, lift yourself back to neutral spine. Exhale, draw the hands to heart center. Interlace the fingers. Notice which thumb is on top. Unlace, switch, opposite thumb on top, relace. Flip those palms to face away from you, round through the spine, reach the hands away, gaze comes down toward the toes. Next inhale, we're gonna lift back up. This time we're gonna side bend to the left first. Inhale, find that length in the center. Exhale, take your side bend to the left. Next inhale, lift. Exhale takes you to the right. Next, inhale, lift, center, release the fingertips. Exhale, dive over, forward fold. This time we'll all lift into a half forward fold and pause, or add the airplane arm variation if you like, palm face the earth behind the hips, or find a little more hamstring stretch if you like, long neutral spine, trying to bring the heart closer to the space just in front of the toes. Take one more big inhale. With your exhale, soften over, forward fold. Use your inhale to slow roll or circle sweep. Find your mountain. And again, rotating the palms out, reaching toward the sides of your space, waiting for your next in-breath. Inhale, sweep those hands high, shoulder distance between the palms. Exhale, rotate the palms out, sweep the arms down. Inhale, rotate out, lift. Exhale, rotate out, lower. Using one more inhale to lift the hands. This time we'll use an exhale to bring the hands to the hips. Letting the hands rest at the hips for a moment. We're going to ground through our left leg, lift the right heel. We're going to slide the right leg about halfway back our mat and find a warrior one. So foot's going to come back and the toes are going to point toward front right corner of the mat. Heel's going to fully connect. We're going to bend our left knee to place our left knee directly over our ankle. Sort of like we did in our low lunge, we're going to pull our right side of the pelvis forward and our left thigh back. Both our feet are pressing into the earth and gently drawing away from one another. We're going to try to lower that tailbone down toward the earth, pull the low ribs in, and then we'll bring the hands up overhead, drawing the arms down into the shoulder socket, warrior one, Virabhadrasana one, and we'll find a little lift and lower flow here. So we're going to straighten the front knee as we draw the hands down alongside the hips. Bend back into that front knee, hands lift. Straighten that front knee, hands lower. So flowing a couple more times here. If you want to add a little more challenge, balance, build a little more heat, slide your right leg back a little further, lift your heel, point the toes directly toward the front of your mat. We'll do the same thing from a high lunge, but that back heel lifts and lowers with us as we move. Finishing the cycle that you're on, landing back in your high lunge or warrior one. And if you came to high lunge, we're going to bring that back leg in again and find warrior one. So bring it in just a little so you can connect the heel, point the toes toward the front right corner of your mat. Now we'll move through two versions of a pyramid. We'll move through three versions of a pyramid. So we're going to press into that left foot, straighten the front knee, float the hands around to the low back. Hands can rest at the very top of the glutes if you like, or you can interlace the fingers behind the sacrum. We're going to inhale to find long spine. Exhale, hinging from the hips first, folding your way over. Again, notice how far you can go first. We're keeping the lines spine long. So this is hip flexion. And then we'll move into spinal flexion. So take another big inhale, and then as you exhale, allow that spine to round, soften down, head melts down toward the left knee. If you're in fingers interlaced variation and it feels right for you this morning, you could lift your arms up a little higher from your spine, really letting that head melt down toward the left knee as you draw those hands towards your opposite wall. And if the arms are lifted, we'll start to draw the hands back in toward the spine. We're going to lift halfway. So we're going to come back to that neutral spine position. We're going to slide the hands around to the left shin. And we're going to add a little twist here. So twist in pyramid. It's a pretty small twist for most of us, and it's a pretty good challenge for balance. We're going to bring the right hand to the outside of the left calf. We're going to twist our heart open to the left. Slide the hand to the left hip. If it's in your practice and it feels good, you can try to open that arm to the ceiling, stack the shoulders, gaze past your fingers, twisted or revolved pyramid. Take a deep inhale. Exhale to start to bring yourself back through neutral. Slide or sweep that left hand down. And inhale yourself right back to warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Starting to lift the torso, bend the left knee, bring those arms up. Take a big inhale. Exhale, rotate the palms toward the side of your room. Bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, take a big lean forward. Lift your right heel. Exhale, slide that foot forward to meet your left mountain pose. Drawing the hands down beside the thighs. Rotate palms out to face the side of your space. Inhale, lift the hands. Rotate the palms out of the top. Exhale, down. Inhale, rotate out, lift. Exhale, rotate out, lower. Use your next exhale to bring the hands to the hips. And we'll ground through the right foot, lift the left heel. Slide if you like, or maybe this side, try a lift and float back with that foot. Starting in that warrior one shape, making those little checks for yourself in the lower body. And then sending the arms up overhead. So if you know you want to go ahead and mix it up to high lunge, go ahead and adjust your feet. Or if you want to flow a couple times in warrior one first, see how it feels. We'll press into that right foot, straighten the knee, hands float down alongside the hips. Bend back into that front knee, hands lift. And if you want to just mix it up a little bit, back leg comes back a little further, toes oriented toward the front of our mat, heel lifts, and hands and back heel lift and lower as we move. Finishing the cycle that you're on. If you landed in a high lunge, making your way back to warrior one. We'll bring the hands around to the low back as we straighten the front knee. Hands can rest at the top of the glutes and just hang out there, or interlace fingers behind the sacrum. Big inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, hinging from the hip first, coming forward. Pause at that first edge. Take another big inhale, exhale, rounding in the spine, head melts down toward right knee. If you're in fingers interlaced variation and it feels right, peel those arms up away from the back as you really allow the head, neck to dangle. Lifting yourself back to that halfway position, long neutral spine. We'll float or slide the arms all the way around to the right shin. Left hand is going to come to the outer part of that right lower leg. We're going to rotate the heart open to the right, slide the right hand to the hip, or open it up, stack the shoulders. And starting to rotate the heart back down toward the earth, bringing that right hand down. Inhale, bring yourself all the way back to your warrior one. And maybe moving with the fingertips extended this time if you like, or exhale to bring the hands to the waist. And we'll take a big lean forward, find your tippy toe on the left foot, slide that foot all the way forward. If you moved with the hands overhead, We'll bring the hands back down. Find your mountain pose, rooting in through the soles of the feet, growing long in the spine, long from the crown of the head. Take a full inhale, full exhale. Next, inhale, sweeping the hands overhead. Exhale, diving over, forward fold. Dangling through a breath or moving through a half forward fold. And then meeting in forward fold, coming down onto your fingertips or palms. We're going to send both legs all the way back. Bring the knees down and then find a wide knee child's pose. Knees coming wide on the mat, toes pointing toward one another, sending the hips to the heels, or staying a little more lifted, reaching your hands out toward the top of your mat. Waiting for your next inhale, activating your palms, lifting yourself back up. We're going to come to tabletop. So bringing the knees back in line with the hips. And then this time we'll keep the hips over the knees. We're going to walk the hands toward the top of our mat and find puppy pose or melting heart. So as the hands come out, a couple options here. You can come down onto forearms, cross your forearms across one another and rest your forehead on your forearms. You can make two fists. Stack your fists and rest your forehead on your fists. Or if melting heart is in your practice and shoulders are feeling open this morning, you can slide those hands all the way out until your chest lowers down onto your mat. Enjoying one more full breath. And then starting to draw your way back up toward tabletop. And we'll tuck the toes and we're going to stretch the bottoms of the feet. So if you've done this with me before and you already know you need to adjust your feet, go ahead and adjust your feet now. Otherwise, we are going to try to press our hips back toward our heels and see if we can find a little stretch for the toes and the bottoms of the feet. If you can come all the way back and you don't have much of a stretch, bring yourself back up a little bit, reach back with your hand on your same side, manually pull your toes in closer to your knee, set them back down. Then try to press hips to heels. If you can still come all the way back and you don't have much of a stretch, start to walk your hands in toward your knees, lift the weight of your torso up over your hips. And wherever you landed, we'll pause there for a moment. And then starting to release, make your way back toward your tabletop. Untuck the toes. And then we'll move into thread the needle. We'll flow a few times first with breath, and then we'll land and thread the needle as a stretch. So wait for your next inhale. We're going to ground through the left palm, float the right hand up overhead as you twist your heart open to the right. With your exhale, turn your heart back down toward your mat and maybe just a little bit to the left as you reach your right fingertips under your left arm. Inhale, open yourself back up to the right. Lift those right fingers, open the heart, lift the gaze. Exhale, turning the heart down, thread the needle opposite side. Inhaling, open, exhaling, drawing down. Take one more inhale to open yourself up. We'll use the exhale to slide all the way into our stretch. So right deltoid and temple come down onto your mat. For some of us, this is enough or more than enough. We're going to stay right here and soften into a few breaths. Other options would be to spider walk your left fingertips toward the top of your mat. And pause there, or to slide your left hand out to the left side toward the back of your mat, and then bend the elbow, rest the back of the hand or the forearm on the low back as you imagine lifting your left shoulder a little more open toward the ceiling. Take one more full breath here. If you're in a bind or extended in that left hand, use that breath to bring that supporting hand back under the shoulder. And then press into that hand, lift yourself up and open all the way up into a stretch in the opposite direction, reaching that right hand high, and then pause. Take a couple wrist circles one direction with the right hand, a couple wrist circles other direction. Sweep that hand all the way back down, grounding that hand right under the shoulder. Wait for your next inhale. Open heart to the left, lift the left hand. Exhale, turning the heart down and maybe just a little bit to the right as you reach that hand under opposite arm. Inhaling, twisting open. Exhaling, twisting closed. Flowing 3 more times this side. After your third one, landing in your stretch. As you come down into your stretch again, just checking in. Do you want to add any other variation with the right arm, drawing it toward the top of your mat or finding a gentle bind? Taking one more full breath. If you're in a bind or extended, use that breath to bring your supporting hand back under the shoulder. Bring yourself all the way up and open to a twist in the opposite direction. Pause. Take a couple wrist circles each direction with the left hand. And allowing that hand to come all the way back under the shoulder. We're going to come around into a seat here. So if it works for your body this morning, you can cross the ankles right from your tabletop shape. Send your hips back toward your heels, lift over the feet and bring the legs in front of you, or come around to a seat, however works for your body this morning. And then we'll find a seated bound angle. So soles of the feet are going to come together, knees reaching out to the side. If you like a prop here, you could grab something to elevate the hips a little bit. And we'll bring the hands down toward our feet. Find a big inhale, draw yourself long. With an exhale, hinging forward. Again, finding those 2 variations here. So first we'll stay long in the spine. Pause, take a few breaths. And then with your next exhale, soften round through the spine. Hands can stay where they are if you like. You can slide hands out toward the top of your mat. With your next inhale, start to slow lift all the way back up, long spine. And then we're going to send the left leg out long directly in front of you. So foot is facing the same direction as where our heart is pointing. And if there's space to do so, we'll draw that right heel in just a little closer so it's on the inner part of the thigh. If not, it can stay right where it was. We're going to inhale here, find nice long spine. Exhale to let the heart come forward toward your left foot. Pause at that first edge. And then with your next exhale, allow yourself to soften and round down. Hands can slide out toward the left foot if you like. We'll pause here and take a few breaths, seeing if we can find a little more stretch. So with each inhale, imagine that crown of the head is going to draw just a little further from your hips. And then with each exhale, imagine that you could round a little further into this. Each inhale, find a little lift. If at any point it feels good, slide those hands out the left leg toward your left foot. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, round. With your next inhale, slide your way all the way back up. And then we'll bring the left foot in, slide the right leg out. Check in with where that left foot landed. Maybe you could slide it in a little closer so it's just on the inner part of the right thigh. And we'll find our nice length. Big inhale, exhale, heart draws forward toward the left foot. Find that first place of pause. And then exhale, allow that spine to round. If it's right for you, hands reach out and find that right foot. Each inhale, imagine you're growing the spine a little longer. Each exhale, stretching a little more fully. Next inhale, bring yourself all the way back up. This time we're going to send both legs long on our mat. So sending that left leg out to meet the right. And then here, drawing toward long spine as much as you can, remembering that it's difficult for a lot of us when we're both legs extended. We're gonna pull the toes back toward the shins as much, as strong, as firmly as you possibly can. Hold in there for a moment. Pull the toes, pull the toes, pull the toes. Imagine you're reaching your heels away from you as you're pulling the toes back. And then relax that. Slide your toes away from you as strongly as you possibly can. Pull the toes, pull the toes, pull the toes. And then relax. Just do a faster point flex. Give the ankles a little shake, legs a little shake. And then we'll come down onto our backs. So find yourself at a place on your mat where you can support yourself, roll all the way down, and we'll bring the knees into the belly. So both bent knees drawing in. You can bring hands to knees or shins. Give them a little squeeze in as you gently rock side to side on the low back. And then finding stillness in the center, keep your right knee in, bring the sole of your left foot down to your mat. Slide it about halfway away so it's not all the way flat, sole of the foot still on the mat, that it's reaching long. We're going to bring the right hand to the right kneecap and take that knee and make some big circles in the air. So movement's coming from the hip joint. So we circle this hip one direction and then switch directions. And then bring that knee back in line with the hip so it's over the belly. We're gonna slide the left leg all the way long. Bring the right fingertips just to the back of the right knee. Bring your left hand to the front of your left hip. Kind of gently press down on it to help you remember to keep that left glute on your mat. Let your right leg start to fall out to the right side as far as it will go without lifting the left glute. Start to lift that leg back in line with the hip. We're gonna switch left hand to the back of the right knee. Bring your right hand down to a low T or all the way out to a T. We're gonna keep the right glute glued to the mat now. Bring your right knee ever so slightly across center line, however far you can bring it without lifting the right side of the pelvis. And then let that leg take you all the way over into a spinal twist. So we're gonna keep drawing that knee over to the left. The hand can stay where it is and support the knee as you come over. If you want a little more stretch, you can bring the left hand to the outside of the right knee. If you want some support, you can grab blocks or whatever props you have and support that shin, bringing the floor a little closer. As you let that knee come over to the side and start to find your first spinal twist, check in with what happened to your right shoulder. If it's awkwardly pulling up off of the mat and it's not comfortable, you could slide that arm down a little closer to your back, or you could bend the elbow and rest the forearm or the hand on the waist. If you want to keep awareness on what's happening down in the lower body, you could keep your gaze to the ceiling. Or if you want to bring your twist up into the cervical spine, you could bring your gaze all the way out to the right side. Take a moment to pause and breathe in this spinal twist, relaxing any contracted tissues in the hips, low back, belly, shoulders, neck, face. And bringing awareness to your belly. Gently draw the belly in and up. So we're thinking about just gently engaging the core to support the spine as we lift the legs. So we'll start to lift that right leg back in line, the hip rolling back onto our back. We're gonna slide the left leg all the way in to meet it. We're gonna bring both knees into the belly and again, take a little rocking movement on the low back. And finding stillness in center, keeping that left knee lifted, right sole of the foot comes down to the mat, slide it about half. Kneecap, guide that hip in some big circles. Switch directions. Bring that knee all the way back into the belly. Slide the right heel all the way away. Leg comes all the way down onto the mat. Left fingertips to the back of the left knee. Right hand to the front of the right hip. Let that leg fall out to the side as far as it will go without lifting the right side of the pelvis. And starting to lift the left leg, switch your supporting hand. Left glute stays down as we draw that knee ever so slightly across center line. And let that leg take you all the way over to your spinal twist. So again, hand could stay where it is. And as you come over, that hand can support your leg, Or you could grab a prop to support your leg, or if you want a little more twist, you could bring the hand to the outer part of the left knee, draw that leg a little closer to the earth. Check in with that left shoulder. Make any little adjustments that you need. Find your version of a spinal twist. And then allow yourself to soften down into this shape for a moment. Softening the legs, hips, spine, shoulders, maybe finding a little more softness in the face. Bringing awareness to the low belly. Gently engaging the core. Slow lifting that left leg all the way back up in line with the hip. Rolling onto your back, sliding the right leg into meet, bringing both knees to belly. You can rock, roll on the spine here if that feels good, but also take a moment to check in and just choose a last shape or stretch here to bring your practice to a close. So what would feel good to find a little balance, a little symmetry after your twist, or is there one last body area that needs to stretch out, or find some wiggles before you soften down into your Shavasana, corpse pose. And as you start to soften down into your final posture, hardest pose of the practice, choosing something that will really allow you to be at ease, really allow all the tissues to be fully relaxed, allow your breath to be at ease, allow all the body and mind to just really enjoy a moment of true stillness. Setting thoughts aside. If it's challenging, you can invite your awareness to just really be present with the sense of your breath coming and going, even labeling the breath if you like. Each time thinking rising with your inhale, falling with your exhale. Taking a moment to allow body and mind to truly rest. Expanding your awareness all the way out to the tips of your fingers and your toes, wiggling your fingers and toes, coming to the wrists and ankles, circling the wrists and ankles. And then to the head and neck, gently turning head and neck side to side. Bringing both bent knees all the way back into the belly, finding one last knees to chest pose. Either letting those knees take you over to the fetal position, slow pressing your way up to a seat, or if you like, starting to roll the length of the spine, rolling shoulders to tailbone, eventually rocking your way up, finding an easy seat. And one last chance here, settle into that sense of your long neutral spine. So we're grounded in the sits bones, light from the crown of the head, soft shoulders, maybe a little smile as you either soften the gaze or fully close the eyes. And cultivate that sense of gentle observation without any judgments. One last time. What is happening for you at the end of your practice? Is there anything here that you might like to take off of your mat out into the rest of your day? Is there anything here that isn't serving you that maybe you could leave behind? Floating or fluttering, eyes open, taking one more big inhale to sweep the hands wide and overhead. With an exhale, letting your palms come together at heart center, fingertips together, outer part of the palms together, little space at the center of the palms representing that little seed of potential. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, for sharing part of your day with me, sharing your practice with me. I appreciate you all.